Hello, and welcome to episode 35 of Chapter 1. We're already off topic. 3 women, 1 podcast, and all of us are wondering where we should send our therapy bills this week. I'm Mary.
I'm Catherine.
I'm Elizabeth.
And in this week's episode, we will be discussing the final chapters of Blood Over Brighthaven, along with giving our final reviews and our star rating. So buckle up, book babes, because this one might be a little bit of a ride. But before we get started, what are we having? Catherine's like, I have it.
Well, she held it up, and I looked up, and I realized she had it up, and I was like, wait. We have some cinnamon sugar donuts, and then we have a brown sugar cinnamon black tea.
That she also made, because she's amazing.
I have not tried the donuts yet, but my husband did, and he said that they were
Delicious.
They sound really good. I love a donut.
I found a recipe for some baked powdered donuts, and I almost did it, but I was like, I feel like that would be so unfair since she's not here.
Yeah,
So
like,
I did not save that for when Mary is in town. So what are you having?
Strawberry brownies.
Yum!
Yeah, I saw them on Instagram. Some lady made them, and I was like, my husband loves anything strawberry, and who doesn't love a brownie? So they actually turned out really good. And then I'm doing a white pear white tea.
Nice.
Yeah, it was in one of those. It was in one of those gifts. Was it for the baby shower? Maybe that Leslie gave us. Those things, those like little pyramids of tea.
The tea forte.
It was in
I
there.
loved all of those. All of those. They were delicious.
Tons of flavor in them. It's super good.
You
Every
have
one
to
of them's a
try
winner.
it.
I only have one left now, and it's the ginger snap, because as we have now learned, I don't like ginger.
I don't know if you know what, let's just recap. We might have done this back in December, but I made gingerbread cookies was it?
Oh,
for the podcast?
Yes, I think if people have stayed with us for an extended period of time or watched all of our episodes, it might have been live on air that we discovered I didn't like gingerbread. I can't remember.
I made these gingerbread men, and they were adorable. They were
They were
cute.
very cute.
And honestly, it was one of those moments where I was like, I really killed it with this. I did it. And she was like, I've never had it. And so she tries it, and she was like, I don't think I like it. And Elizabeth, she's over there like, I like it.
I mean, you did kill it though, but you did.
They were good.
But
Actually,
you
but
you
have
know
to
what, to
like
be fair-
ginger to
To be fair, James
ginger
doesn't like
cookies.
gingerbread men either. It's not his jam either.
I think I remember trying to pretend I liked it, but I was chewing it for a really long time, and you were just like, spit it out.
You're done.
What is that face? What are you doing?
I didn't realize I was making a face until I looked at myself and saw my face. And I was like, why am I like looking so judgmental?
And on that note, we're going to talk about the book.
I do have some judgments on that.
really don't
Like
want
I
to
know
talk
that
about
everyone just says this is a 5-star. Everyone loves it. So whatever.
You can tell Catherine adored it.
It's not bad. It's just not great.
It's not a vibing book. You know what I mean? How you can just open up a book and be like, yeah, I'm going with the flow. This is a thinking book.
It's not a
You
bad
have
book.
to be in the mood for it.
I don't feel like it's poorly written. I don't feel like the pacing was bad. I don't really feel anything bad about how it was written or what was done. The story itself just didn't super land with me. But, maybe I would read it next year and be like, oh my gosh, what a literary masterpiece.
You won't. You
said
only
you won't.
reread books unless they're like a freaking 5-star or you are really super confused.
I
don't think this book.
There were so
landed
many.
that
I
way
didn't
for
connect with the characters really at all. They were super. Well, you know what? Let's just wait for that until we
Let's
get
do the
to
recap.
the ratings.
Okay.
Sorry.
So we ended last week with Sayana recruiting Kara and Tomil to help her start to implement her like kind of final plan that she had going. And Kara was helping her put those new spell papers into the master spellographs. So we start back in chapter 19 with Sayana attending the meeting where they present their spells for the planned barrier expansion. And Renthorn presents his spell, which ahead of time he's also still being the biggest dick ever. But we don't, at this point now, we expect nothing else from him. So it was fine. It was just whatever. So Renthorn presents his spell, and the archmages are all having a nice little circle jerk about how they're going to use it and like how they can tweak it and like it's going to be great. And
a lot of Alec references in a very short amount of time.
I was like, did you need to say that?
Well, first she like calls Renthorn. Anyway, I was like, well,
I was like, there's a lot of things
we have
happening.
a theme.
But so they finally remember that Sayana is also there to present, and they're like, "Do you have anything to add?" And so she ends up demonstrating her mapping spell using the Freynen mirror, and everyone can see like just the mapping portion. They can see like a really perfect, clear visual, and it's sort of a mixed response because you have some of them who are obviously they can see the potential of this. They're crazy excited, you know, like explain your process. How'd you get here? This is going to be great. We can start the expansion immediately. And then you have others who are obviously irritated. They're like, of course, a Leonite would have changed the existing spells, and just like are obviously irritated, whether it's because she's a woman and did this, whether it's because of her religion, who knows, they just don't like her. So like
Gamlen's over here like, my girl, let's go. And
Yeah, I
then
know.
like that Mordra guy, he was like, you're the worst. What a woman.
Yeah. So yeah, it was sort of a mixed bag of responses for poor little Sayana over there, but overall they did in the end kind of seem excited for what this meant for them. And were ready to like move forward. And then they were, I can't remember if they asked her if she had anything else, but I think she just was like, screw it, I'm going to show you the rest. So, because she like tells them her demo isn't over, and she ends up pulling up the new coordinates, which show a bunch of life, including animals and people. And that shocks everyone when they ask, what is this? Because they're like, what are you showing us? Like, what is happening? And she explains that it's the other realm, aka the Quinn. And again, you get like a mixed response, none of real excitement, except, I don't know, maybe Renthorn Jr. in the back, because he's always excited about weird shit. But
Renthorn was like,
Pleased.
I don't want to use the term aroused, but like he seemed like
But-
really into it. And, like I was like, you're actually psychotic. Like,
But everyone else, you have this mixture of like some are horrified, you've got others that are angry, like it's just sort of all over the place. And they're, like they're kind of pissed, I guess. And, despite everything that's happening, you have a bunch of these like archmages that are still trying to argue that Tyran is God's city and therefore this is what he wants, and, all this preaching crap that we've come to expect from them. Sayana continues to try to argue using logic that makes sense. And of course, it doesn't go anywhere. So meanwhile, she'd explained in the previous chapters, that's when they were changing those spellographs, when there was like a power, like when they start to switch over. So like they kind of turn off for a couple minutes. And so during that power switch over, once that's completed and the master spellographs come back to life, they start siphoning right away from those new coordinates she has in. And so with those magical big screen TVs blasting all over Tyran, like it's like the next big pay-per-view boxing match and everyone's tuned in. It's showing exactly what's happening once the siphoning starts working. So then it's like outrage. The archmages call for Sayana's arrest as a traitor. She's quickly detained. And all this is like, while she gets detained and is being drug out, she's screaming, I did the right thing. And I was kind of like, who are you trying to convince? Like, I'm not sure what the purpose of that was. Because, like,
I feel like this
everyone
really
in that
could have
room
gone differently had she would have thought this out. Because I'm like, man, if it was me,
She
I would
listened
just
to Jamil.
sabotage the expansion, or try and do. Well, actually, it ended up. Never mind. We'll get to that part about the expansion. We'll get to that. But I feel like I would have done this differently, knowing how people would react.
I think I would have done everything differently. That doesn't mean that I would have done it better, but I would have done it.
It would have been
differently.
different. Yeah.
I think honestly for her, part of the reason why I feel like she's doing that is because I genuinely feel like, and we get that kind of sense even later when she's talking to Tamil in like the flashback, that she genuinely thought that once they saw like the error of their ways, that they would, they wouldn't be like, oh, you're doing something wrong. Like I think she genuinely was like, but I did the right thing. I don't understand. Like, why are you arresting me? Like I think there was more surprise there than she might have been.
that probably makes more sense. Because in my head, I'm reading it as like, I did the right thing. And like her just being like, but it would make sense if she's just confused. Of like,
I think
why
in her
is no one
heart,
getting it?
because I think there was always this, like, because Tamil kind of made it out like this was going to be something that she was going to get put to death for, or whatever. And I think in her, like, back of her head, she always knew that was a possibility. But I think, like, really at the core of it, I think that she expected to, be smart Sayana and show them the truth, show them the error of their ways. And they would be like, you know what? You're right. And I think it just shocked her when it didn't
But
work out that
I'm
way.
really surprised she still thought that after she tried to have an intelligent conversation with Brigham about it.
Who's the one
She
person she
knew.
actually respected and felt like was a caring person. And yet she disliked most of the other archmages and high mages and thought that they were worse than him. And yet she thought they were just going to suddenly come around.
And this
Brigham?
was after Renthorn's almost trying to rape her. Like, what?
Brigham,
what is she
in my
thinking?
opinion, is probably the most confusing character of all of it.
I have notes on Brigham at the very end, and I think she did him the biggest disservice. I think his character could have been used in a much more nuanced way that would have brought a lot more depth to the story than what we ended up getting.
Brigham, because I feel like with all the other like archmages and stuff like that, you know, they're very clear, you know, and even with the Quinn, they're very clear where they stand, you know, and he's the only one that even after all this is like trying to protect her.
But he's trying to protect his own image.
Yes, but he also genuinely, when he's talking to her, he doesn't seem like he's like cold per se. He does have those moments, but it doesn't seem like he has genuinely no feelings for her. I do feel like
She was the daughter he never had.
I feel like in some way he had some. I mean, he could have just left her in there to rot. I mean, he could have. You know, I feel like in a way it was going against his image to even try and protect her because
Well, I think the way I read him and his character and the way she wrote him was, especially here at the end, was that all he saw was her potential, that she could have been magnificent, and she was ruining that. That's what he was upset about. Not her as a person, but like all that potential basically being wasted now.
it was just the weirdest thing because he seemed almost warm towards her in certain ways because she was like saying things about like he was like you're not even gonna just to protect your own skin. Like he was even, you know, he was like, even if you're not going to be here anymore, like you could be alive. And like all these things. It was just weird to me because I'm like, but then you see him with this staff and you see him just mow down all these people. Like you see him as this really, really horrible monster. And then you see him in this like other weird way.
It's a little bit of both because he even voted against her, you know.
And he
at
couldn't
the
make eye
end.
contact with
He couldn't
her.
make eye contact. I do think that he cared for her as well as
He
for
could.
his own self and his own image. So I feel like it's a little bit of both.
I will say that Brigham doesn't view himself as the bad guy. None of the tyrannish people really do. I will, you know, Sayana kept getting like irritated, like that they were defending themselves against the riots. And I'm like, I'll be honest, if I'm in the middle of a riot, I'm not caring what side the people trying to kill me are on. I'm just trying to get out alive. Yeah, you could be upset these people are dying and that sucks. But like, if you're going to try to kill me, that just makes sense of anybody.
Well, she even had this
I
like,
agree.
And
she
you
had these
already
feelings
know
of
that they're
guilt.
bad people.
Yeah.
And she even had these feelings of guilt because she like wanted him to protect her. Like, and I'm like, but at the same time, they don't know that you are the one that is like suddenly flipping sides. They just see you in these robes and they're like.
And
"We're
honestly,
going
I don't
for
think that they would have cared.
it." No.
They would have
You
just
know,
like a part of the system,
It took a
destroy
long
the system.
time. Tamil and Kara, you know, so I just.
Well, even Kara said she would not forgive her, you know.
So Sayana ends up getting thrown in a police car. I will say, these final chapters, I don't know what happened, but I found, even on the reread, it was like the first time through, I was having trouble because it felt inconsistent. And then when I did the reread to do the recap, maybe you guys caught something different, but like, I kept seeing some like really odd inconsistencies. Like, so here, it's very much described as a police car. In fact, she calls it a car, right? And then later, I had to go back multiple times because later when Duras shows up in a car, they make it sound like they'd never seen a car before. It's this horseless carriage. Oh my God, it's all new.
Well,
and I'm like,
I think
you were just in a fucking car with a
think
driver.
his car,
His car was magic.
I think his car was fancy.
Yeah.
I think he had like
He
a
was in a
magic car.
Tesla.
I think he had like a Back to the Future situation. Like,
And it was like armored. It was
yeah, like he had kind of like a Rolls Royce where everyone
Yeah,
else had like a Ford. You know,
there
I
was
think
no-
that was what.
There-
Okay.
No damage.
Because the way
in his car.
the way it was written is it was like this one's like horseless and has wheels, and I was like, you were in one
Right.
of those.
I do remember that comparison.
I
Yeah.
remember that too.
Yeah. I think all these things really did happen because she was being like, man, it doesn't have a horse. It's not a carriage. It's a crazy futuristic type of car. But she wasn't a police car. So,
Without a,
yeah.
comes across as not a carriage with a horse.
Because he
'Cause you got-
crashes it.
Right, because he's a driver, so he got the driver, and
Spoiler
he's
alert, he
like,
crashes it.
yeah. So he crashes. The driver
Oh,
gets
not the horse and buggy.
yeah, he gets distracted by displays of the siphoning, and that there's like people dying, and so he ends up crashing, and it knocks her out. And when she wakes up, the car is damaged. Talks about it being dented and damaged, and it had a different driver, and she ends up, they pull up to the jail. So, and then immediately after, we get another inconsistency that I thought was just odd, because Alba comes to the jail, but we'll get into that here in a second about what happens with that. But like immediately after that, Brigham comes to get her, to rescue her from the jail, and he has to pull out all these like superpower magic moves to move just like a few feet down the street or they're gonna die. And I'm like, how did Alba make it all the way there? They usually have to travel on a train to come downtown, go all these blocks. I'm like, Alba's just out here just wandering around with no
Alba made
problems.
Well, I guess she didn't have the white cloak, so she wasn't like targeted. But if there's a riot and there's a lot of looting, I feel like people
she
are
don't
just,
have copper
She
hair.
does not have the copper hair, so she would have been
Right.
targeted
They're
just
real
from
easy.
that.
They're real easy to tell apart there. So I don't
Yeah.
know. That one also came across. It came across later as weird, and it probably wasn't less weird. But I was just like, how did Alba even get down there? Like, she's so concerned about the rioting, but she's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for a stroll, go to the jail, go visit her, bitch about it.
She took Duris's car.
The whole thing with Alba was pretty.
Okay, so now Alba, go.
Okay, so Alba shows up at the jail, and she's yelling at Sayana for what she's done and how it's causing all these riots, and it's destroying everything. It destroyed her business and her shop, and everything's basically burning down, and the Quinn are attacking all the Tyrannish people, and she's like, people are dying. And Sayana was like, people were always dying, and just like doesn't seem to care about the like what is happening to the city and the people within the city. Wrote a whole tyrant about that, and I think I ended up reeling it back in. But because I was just very confused. It seemed slightly out of character for Alba, but then also like Sayana went on this whole preaching thing about like Alba had no right to feel entitlement, or like that she was entitled and privileged for feeling like she earned like her job and her career of fixing things. Like she was like fixing watches and stuff, and she like made it out like she was this horrible person working off the backs of others. And it's like, yeah, their city was built on that, but like, how are you going to put all that on Alba? Like, it's her fault. And like, Alba did put in the work to like get where she was.
I didn't think either of them were very fair in that conversation, but at the same time, I almost understood Alba a little bit better, because really a lot of this is Alba's resentment just leaking on out, because you see how like they did all these sacrifices or whatever so that she didn't have to act like a woman. She got to, have all these opportunities, and she was like, oh yes, the city that gave you this, that, and the other. And like, in a way, if I was completely blind to all this other stuff, yeah, I can see that being, but at the same time, when you're faced with literal visuals of the reality, that's when you have to be like, well, this isn't right either. I see what she's doing. But in Alba's mind, all of it is just very self-serving. I don't know. It was very...
Well, and I see her too, because she was like, you've never cared about anybody. It was one of Alba's primary complaints from the beginning of the book, was like, right, you don't care enough about the people around you. And I think, again, she's like, now you suddenly care, but it's destroying the people around you. It's killing the Quinn. It's killing the Tyrannish. It's destroying our livelihoods and our businesses. And we raised you, and we took you in, and we cared for you. And you really could give two shits about what happened to us with how you went about fixing it, which was just...
Yeah,
to be fair,
with no warning.
Not anti-Alba, and like I think that what Alba said, I think all of it, I wasn't against any of it. I felt like a lot of it was super valid, and I feel like Sayana should have maybe been a little bit more receptive of it. But in the same breath, I mean, I appreciate, that Sayana was genuinely trying to... Sayana had it in her head that once everyone saw it, the Tyrannish would be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I feel like she should have thought or listened to Tamil when, like, because the Tyrannish were seeing this, but so were the Quinn. And they're seeing our people are dying not because of some natural occurrence that we've been trying to escape from. It's because of you. And then, I mean, I don't think that she thought about the fact that they would.
They would all feel like Kara and Tamil when they found out.
Right.
I mean, Tamil, like, didn't even see anyone die. He saw what
And he
blight
threw
was.
the thing.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm-
Kara tried to kill her
Right.
when she first
I'm
met her.
like-
So I don't understand. And these are people that liked her. And I don't know why she didn't put two and two together.
So I
that
get
this would
why
occur.
I get why Alba has those feelings, but also I didn't love some of the things that Alba said either about how, like, because she kind of came off as a little uncaring as well as to what, you know,
Was-
like that it was very much the Quinn deserved it kind of a vibe too. So like
Right.
you know, she was not really.
Yeah, which seemed really out of character for them because they were like normally described as being
very compassionate.
fine with the Quinn and having no issues with the Quinn. And so to suddenly be like that seemed slightly out of, like, I don't know what the thought process of that was, other than her trying, like the author trying to drive home that, like, well, all the Tyrannish in the end are evil, period.
Yeah.
Well, it's, it can be tied to many different things. I mean, it's no different than like if you were to come out to your family and the family that loved and you trusted all of a sudden turn their backs on you. You could compare it to that. You could compare it to, hey, anything you do with your family, just kind of being like, I'm all of a sudden, I'm no longer this, which is how you raised me. I'm something completely different. I think that's how she wrote her character, was basically, even though, oh, we don't care, what's the words? Love, you love the sinner, but hate the sin, or hate the sin, love the sinner kind of thing. But then when this happened to her, she's like, nope, get on I don't ever want to see you again, and just wrote her
The
off.
fact that like Winnie like didn't even come, like
Oh, Winnie didn't even want to see her.
yeah, like I was like, wow, like it was just weird because like the whole conversation, I felt like Alba made points, but then she also like really didn't, and like so it was.
But
very
I can see Winnie not wanting to see her. One, again, you have to make it through the freaking riots to get down there, and she caused. I mean, like you can truly believe in like that the entire system needed to change, and also believe that like the way she went about it was harmful to others.
Yeah, but to completely write her off, like, I never want to see you again.
And the fact that she didn't tell the people who raised her any sort of warning that, hey, like, she warned the Quinn janitor, and she didn't tell her own family that, hey, shit's about to go down. Maybe you
And
should hide.
she could have just, and here's
That's a good
another
point.
thing.
I didn't think about that.
Here's another thing. When she was having her psychotic break, that would have been a good time to have that conversation with Alba and with Winnie to say, this is why I am having a hard time right
Maybe
now.
Winnie wouldn't go call the dang
She
loony
just
doctor.
would have told them. Oh my gosh. And then she was worried about, she was like, I can't believe Tamil or told Kara. Why would you tell her? And then she proceeds to blast this act for everyone to see, child and adult and all,
Yeah.
throughout the town.
Before she's like, she's just a child. And then she's like, here.
Child.
Can you
we're gonna-
imagine like
we're
a
gonna-
little 5-year-old out there seeing someone get ripped to shreds?
So I get the inconsistencies, and I feel that Mary, you hit the nail on the head when you said that was a character assassination, and I think that her character was written that way just to kind of compare it to, the things that we said earlier about, oh yeah, your family can turn against you at the drop of the hat. Yes, that is a reality. I really hope that is a small reality, but I do realize it exists, and unfortunately, it's a thing. But at the very, very end, we're discussing not just someone changing their ways or changing their beliefs or changing how they live. We're literally discussing death. The thing that we are doing is killing people. We now know we need to do better. That's not an option to not do that thing.
And I think
it's time to
Alba
stop.
Alba was really focused on her selfishness, right? On Siona's selfishness, because she even says, like, she was like, it's our home for Farron's sake. It's not some theoretical thing for you to sit around and ponder in your tower and prod up for your experiments. It's people. It's the people that gave you love. Who are you to turn around and spit on that? And then Siona says, I'm the one who saw truth and didn't look away. And then Alba stops pacing, her eyes narrowed in a terrible expression Sayana had never seen there before. And there it is. This is really about, no matter how much you try to deny it, all this, it's about you being the smartest, the best, the chosen one, all this agony for your ego. And I'm like, I
Disagree
feel
with
like
that.
I feel like Alba was so blind by her anger and her resentment over Sayana and her selfishness that she couldn't see the forest for the trees. Because the thing is, it's like, yeah, Sayana is egotistical.
Selfish,
She
yes.
is selfish. But this is also true.
But this, yes, like she's pointing out a fact that the things that you guys are doing to live in your little bubble is killing other people.
She legit blinded herself to the truth because she was too busy being angry.
You know, the crazy thing is, it's just her in her denial phase. And just like when Sayana was figuring it out, the mean things and the mean things she did and said to Meal, you know, her aunt is doing this now. She's trying to basically get rid of the guilt that she has. And later on, after everything, I know that Alba's going to sit there and be like, man, I messed up. And those are the last words that she's ever going to
Keep in mind, when Sayana got to see it on a super small scale, and she had the reaction she did, which was to lash out and be angry. Alba's seeing it on a big screen that Sayana initiated, that she didn't search this out. She wasn't looking for this. And she's seeing the aftermath, which is her business burning down. All of her entire community, they weren't from the rich side. They were like in the common section.
So they were all fighting each other.
Down. She's seen the Quen be murdered in the streets by the Tyrannish guards. She's seen the Quen attacking Tyrannish people who are basically innocent by all accounts. They didn't even know this was happening. They're just out trying to like live their lives and survive. She's seen the aftermath of this. So I feel like her son's reaction was to like lash out and be angry and blame other people until she processed it. And then like, to me, like Alba hasn't had any time to process it, and she's getting it 500 fold because she's also seeing the aftermath of like what is happening because of that. And like, they're not going to have a home. Nothing will ever be the same again for them.
But
And
she's
she
going to
knows
go.
that.
She's in her stage of denial. Like, she's seeing the aftermath, but it still doesn't change the fact that every time they make tea, a bunny dies. A bunny dies. So she's going to hit that. She's going to come to that realization. Unfortunately, we didn't get that.
In our trio, it's not like they're turning on lights. It's not like we're constantly like, every time they heat tea.
Every time they heat tea.
Like, it's never like when they get in their car. When
Angel
they-
does not receive their wings. That means
When they-
receive their wings.
That's funny.
It's a horrific death.
It is.
Oh my goodness. And heaven help you if you try and stop it. You're just better off just letting it go. No, she's definitely in her denial phase. She is traumatized by what is happening, not only with what she saw and then what that means and then how other people are treating it. She has not had time to process. And I feel like later she's going to regret the things that she said. Because she's going to be like, you know what? This was wrong. Hopefully, right? We don't really get that.
We don't get anything. I hate how this ended. We get nothing.
But we'll get to that part.
We're just
So
running.
Our little thing
It ends how it starts.
But yeah, this was definitely I loved how Mary put it. It's a character assassination on Alba. We really
In the
liked
beginning,
Alba.
they're running in, and then
Yeah.
they're running back.
I was
That's
like,
all
come on. Of all the people to not like her, like Alba, come on. More sensible than that. I mean, it's family. It's family.
The whole scene was dumb.
So after Alba leaves, Brigham shows up, and he is there. He says he's there to take her somewhere safe because the Quen are rioting.
With his
You know.
Gandalf staff.
Yeah, and so they're gonna have her trial in the morning, and so he needs to get her somewhere so she can like make it through this trial. They're attacked on the way out by Quen, and Brigham has to use his staff, and ends up being kind of badass with his staff. You can hate him all you want, but like
That was some good magician
the man can do
powers.
some. The man can
Giving like, you shall not. I shouldn't even be comparing him to Gandalf. Gandalf is way better.
I was thinking Gandalf too, though.
Gandalf has better character.
That is very true. He never used it for evil.
He didn't. He did
Okay,
randomly
Sauron. He made a good.
There we go. Because he had one of those too. And he was, he did some pretty cool stuff with it. Sorry, go ahead.
Mages be maging.
She's like, I'm just going to let them ride this out.
So he ends up killing like a ton of the Quen rioters until they get around the corner to Doris's supercar that he shows up with.
His little Batmobile.
Yeah, no one knew cars existed apparently, but
After riding in a car.
after riding in a car. I'm still hung up on it. It's such a small, stupid detail. And I was like, you were in a car. I'm like, why are you so surprised? She's like, the paint job's super nice. No, but
What Cyan Demand, as a machine unlike any she had ever seen, barreled down the street toward them, weaving between fallen street lamps with impossible speed. The vehicle screamed to a stop in front of Brigham and Cyanna. Just before the Quinn reached them, it was a horseless carriage, but unusually low to the ground, with a coating of shiny metal armor and robust wheels made of strange matte material Cyanna had not seen before.
It is the Batmobile. Low to the ground, matte material.
Squashy seats,
Squashy seats.
brand new paint job,
But it was black.
armored exterior,
Bulletproof.
magical engines, shot forward as fast as a train, faster. So I think it's just like a fancy
Batmobile.
I think it's just like a fancy car.
he's showing up in a cyber
Because
truck.
it does say later,
Up in Mary's Miata.
this is the greatest work of conduit design you'll ever see, you miserable little traitor. It's Durris's car, Brigham says, just not the one he brings to work or puts on the market. This one's more of a passion project. So I think it's just like, this is his fancy, like, hey, just in case all the Quinn find out that we're killing them in droves car.
It's like he knew.
Yeah.
The guilty.
All I can picture is this like old magey dude just in his garage with like his little wrenches, just like working on.
I'm gonna mow down some Quinn with this thing.
So Cyanna is irritated that the archmages are like defending themselves in this riot again, and this is where I was like irritated earlier because I was just like, what is she really? I mean, how dumb is this girl? She's supposed to be so smart, but what did she expect? They were all just going to be like, you know what? We deserve to die. You can kill us now. Like, I'm not sure what she expected to have happen here.
I mean, the Tyrannish did seem pretty horrified by it, but I'm like, just viewing the pictures, here's my thing. Just viewing the video, do you know that that's what it is? Like, you're just seeing people die.
Well, the Quinn definitely knew what it was because
they
that was
had
their
the
land.
Tyrannish, or are they just seeing people die? Like, you know what I mean? Because it's not like there was on here and like, and this is what happens when you heat your tea.
Yeah, and well,
You know, like-
and I don't even know if the Tyrannish, like the majority of the Tyrannish, would even know, like, because unless you trained, I feel like to a certain level of mage and specialized in mapping, do you even know what they're seeing at all?
Right. I feel like they
yeah.
just are being
Do they
shown
know
in a
that-
horror movie and they have no
I
idea
think
what's going on.
The Quinn having seen Blight, they know.
They
and
know
the
what Blight
Quinn
is.
are
They know what it looks
aggressively
like.
yelling, being like, "It's you." They know. They're like, "This is what's causing that."
But yeah, she never really explains how
Right.
all of the other Tyrannish people are supposed to know what they're seeing. I feel like the Quinn are going to figure it out pretty dang quick, even though the Tyrannish seem to think most of the Quinn are stupid. They're obviously not. And they're going to put two and two together pretty easy. But the Tyrannish people, like, I feel like if you didn't, at the beginning, she was talking about all these different specialties and her specialty being mapping. If you didn't go that route, how would you even know what this looked like?
I feel like the Tyrannish worked very, very hard to keep the common folk away from the intricacies of
High
how
magic.
things worked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they probably were completely ignorant to it. But little 5-year-old
Especially the women, because the women couldn't.
Darla or whoever is seeing
Yeah.
little bunny.
The women were supposed to be like barefoot and pregnant and teaching school.
They're supposed to be
That's
doing
about
the
it.
dishes and in the kitchen. How would they know?
Because they're too delicate to know the truth. Which honestly, at this point, Cyanna sort of proved a point.
Yeah. Yeah. and this actually comes up. I'm glad this kind of came up because Brigham will bring it up in their conversation. So I'm going to let you get back to that.
This is what. Yeah.
Because Brigham did have some good points. Like,
I probably
you
glossed
ruined
over
it
'cause
for
I
every
was
female.
Well, if they end up keeping on with, if what's his face ends up, they'd be like, listen, so here's what we're not going to do again. But we're not going to let a woman back in here again because let's talk about what happened last time. Like, I just feel like she really bombed it for everybody else.
He was right. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
Cold-hearted men
Like,
only.
Well,
news
here's the thing.
media was
Everybody
already
tried-
writing history.
everybody tried to tell her kind of anyways. Brigham told her no one could handle the truth. He had his, what was that movie? Few Good Men. He had his A Few Good Men of like, nobody can handle the truth. and then you had Tamil who's like, hey, like, it's not going to go well. Like,
Like, I don't
Everybody-
think that
He's
it's going to
like,
be
you
the
know-
kumbaya campfire situation that you think
Yeah.
it's
Right.
gonna
Like,
be.
He's
you know,
like
the
the-
reactions
he's
Kai
like-
and Kara had, it's going to be that, but tenfold. Like, he
Right.
tried telling her.
20-fold,
He knew how to-
30-fold.
Yeah. He knew how the Quen would react. He knew used to my things. That's what, we ain't gonna mess with that.
My horseless carriage.
Right. So, yeah. I don't know. She was already told she didn't care. She was going to do what she wanted to do anyways, period.
I know, because she was all, I'm
'Cause
gonna
that's what
ask,
she
I'm
does.
gonna ask their permission. I'm gonna ask and make sure they're okay with it. And she's like, you'll get on board.
So in chapter 21, Brigham tries to justify all of his actions leading up to all of this, including, why he brought her on board and like all of these things. And he begs Sayana to repent so she won't be executed. And she refuses, and he encourages her finally to just write a last letter to her family. And so she ends up writing a letter to Winnie. And then the Quen end up attacking the gates of where they're staying, and Brigham goes out to stop them with his little staff. And Sayana freaks out because she doesn't want him hurting any more of the Quen. She's just kind of like, let them overrun the place. And she ends up getting in a fight with Brigham over the staff, trying to wrestle it away from him. And he eventually, he was trying to be gentle with her, but he eventually, to wrestle the staff back, ends up kind of shoving her into the side of the wall, which knocks her out. So the next day, they end up returning to the Magic Center for her trial, which doesn't take super long. They find her guilty, and then because they try to get her to repent for her actions, which she of course is not going to do. And they find her guilty, unanimously sentence her to death, which she's super shocked by that Brigham voted for her death. And I'm like, girl, you knew he was going to do it. He kept trying to tell you to repent so he wouldn't have to die. Again, what did she think? She's just so stupid. I'm not sure why you would write a character that's supposed to be so intelligent and then have them be so dumb all the time. Just read the room, girl.
Yeah. I found it interesting that Brigham couldn't look her in the eye. You know what I mean? It's there was some guilt over it ish, but at the same time, like we talked about before, it's ultimately his image that we're looking to protect here. So
I feel like the outcome.
Gam,
you know what? You know what?
Also wouldn't meet her eyes.
You did this with your decision making, so now you're just, what's that saying? You made your bed, you're going to sleep in it. Here we are.
So they give her a vial of a drink that they call the sleeping death, and she drinks it. And then as she's drinking it, she's kind of pondering whether or not Tamil was going to carry out her final plan, and if she was going to be able to stay conscious enough to find out. And she's still conscious, and she hears Tamil above carrying, moving around. So she knows he's carrying out that final plan that she had. So in chapter 22, we jump back in time a little bit into Tamil's point of view, where Sayana was trying to convince him to do this plan and this last spell that she had in the works. And he does not want to do this part of the plan. He's like,
I'd rather
get
die.
right. You get the idea that whatever this is going to kill a shit ton of people. And he's like, I don't want to be a murderer. I don't want to be like them. Like that. We killed to survive. We killed to hunt and to live. But this is just, in his mind, this is just murder. And so he doesn't want to do it. She finally ends up relenting for the first time on anything. And she leaves him the spellograph in case he changes his mind, but says she's not going to force him to do it because she cares about him more than her work, and that she wants to do what's best for him and how he feels.
See, there's a little bit of character growth.
Yeah, a little bit. But it also admits that all this was all along about for her was still her work in the end. Even though it's in a way her trying to correct the wrongs, but it was also but with my work.
And it was a paragraph. I can't remember if it was with I think it was with her cousin Alba. And she had this inner dialogue where she was like, I've always cared about my work, but I still wanted to contribute to society. You know how she flip-flopped on her, I've been selfish, but I still wanted to contribute to society. And I'm
It would
that's
be
not how
more
this is
selfish
coming
if I
off.
didn't give everyone the benefit of my genius.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I feel
She was trying to flip the way everyone has been telling her, even her own thinking. I still wanted to contribute, and I'm like, no, girl, you're straight up selfish.
Well, even in this final plan, I feel it's again, she in her mind is trying to correct the wrongs and right the wrongs and whatever, and expose the corruption that's happening and like what's the evils that are happening. But she's like, as long as it's my plan, only my plan, because my plan is the right plan.
Well, even like at the end of chapter 21, he's like, they ask for her final, like, any last words or whatever. And when everything happened, she's like, that is my final word, Archmage. Diana said, as God's light ignited Leontal. So, I mean, she's going to go out with a bang. You know, like, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So she goes to
We
leave
didn't know
Tamil.
that this was going to happen. We just didn't know to who. Like,
Yeah.
Mary, you predicted it, and we were all on board, like, someone's going to die.
There's literally no closure in this book. Not like,
Well, and she foreshadowed pretty heavily that
Someone was going to die.
Sayana was going to martyr herself. Like,
Yeah. We
Yeah,
were
I
like,
know.
murder.
she did.
I wasn't surprised with her death. I didn't. Well, you know what? We're not there yet. Let's just keep going.
So as she goes to, as she ends up going to leave Tamil, he ends up kissing her. I'm going to say, for the first time ever in a book, I didn't feel like we needed it. I could have done without it. Mainly because I don't think personally, like if it was me, I wouldn't have forgiven her that much. Like him working with her to do all of this made sense because it was in his mind correcting the rights, you know, and even him battling internally the emotions that came with that of the like his feelings for her along with the things that she was a part of and the things that she said to him and the ways that she hurt him, and yet like I don't know, it ended up feeling a little forced for me.
Yeah. For sure. And also, like, she's just.
I feel like it almost was another check mark. Do you know what I mean?
Like the romance is done.
Like, check.
We got every
Family
ism.
disgusting, check. We got a riot, check. We got.
I feel like that trope as unlikely partners was sufficient without it being like, you know, unlikely lovers. You know, like, I think we didn't need to cross into that threshold. I think the fact that you have two very different people that are deciding to partner up for the greater good, I feel like that was fine enough.
Well, and I also felt like it just went against his character a little bit. Like that man can hold a grudge.
Yeah.
He can hold a
if there's
grudge.
I'm sorry, you go ahead. If there's gonna be romance, man, give us some romance. You know what I mean? Give us
You
something.
didn't really know that
You
they
just-
liked each other.
I know.
In the end,
I would've-
I wonder if this means that Tomil doesn't hate me.
Like there's like some sweet moments, but good day.
I would have definitely rather had more like yearning of like what could have been than the kiss itself.
And we didn't have any of that. Like,
Yeah.
Darrow and Eo, or Eo, not Eo. Because you never really got anything with her. She was gone.
I mean, dang, even Alchemized had some good romance.
Well, can we also talk about Alchemized had a freaking ending? Like I felt like there was actual closure. I don't even know why we're comparing. Like that book ending, I felt closure. Like I felt good about it.
Even though it was an ending you didn't necessarily want, it was a good ending.
It was a good ending. This one, you don't really have an ending. You don't know what happens with Tyran. You don't know what happens with the Quinn. They're running, and Tyran has been put in the care of Mordred the 10th. Bless him. Like, that's really, and you don't even know, like, you don't
Honestly,
get
we
any
don't even
view.
know if he survives. 'Cause
We don't
the
even
Quinn that's
know
left, they
if
could've killed
the
him.
blight killed all those other, like, it just, I don't know. You don't get, there's no closure at all. Like, it's just super open-ended, and don't get me wrong, I know there are books like that, and, you know, gives you the opportunity to draw your own conclusion, whatever. I don't like it. Not for this one. I don't want it.
I feel like her rating just went down a notch.
Sorry, go ahead.
So Tamil ultimately leaves it up to Kara, since whatever he does impacts the future, and the future he feels like isn't his. He's lived his life. It's Kara's future. And so he wants her to make the decision.
Isn't he
And-
in like his 40s or something? I love that.
He's like in his he's in his 30s. He's in his 30s. Yeah. But like I get that a little bit. It's like, oh, well, you know, it's kind of like when we talk about like, I don't know, like what do we spend our, like, you know, we talk about like Social Security or like things that we spend our taxes on or like the environment. And like, we don't think about it for us as much, but like the future and for our kids' future.
Yes, you're right.
You know, and stuff. So like I get that. Like that I didn't have issues with. So Kara knows Sayana would want them to do this. And I think Kara also is like, you know, she's a very angry teenager with not a fully formed prefrontal cortex. So she's like, let's kill him.
Let's do it. I've
do
given
it.
it all of 5 seconds to think about it, and I think we should do it.
So
I'm on
Tomil
her side the
Oh, I'm
entire time.
100% on her side.
back forward to the current time. And Tomil key initiating that final spell, which ends up siphoning from that very room where Sayana is in the center of the magic center and killing, like the blight is just pulling from there constantly, killing everyone inside there. So in chapter 23, Kara's, it opens to Kara being confused why she's crying so much. But so is Tomil, and he admits to Kara that he was in love with Sayana, which again, I don't know. We just talked about it, so I won't get into it again. But I'm just like, meh. So, like, you can care about her. I don't know that you were in love with her, but whatever. So Tomil tells Kara to take the spellograph and dump it in the river. Just as she goes to run off with it, Renthorn and Mordra, the 10th, show up. And Tomil stays to buy Kara time to get away. Renthorn is, of course, thrilled that everything has worked out the way it has. Not only is there lots of violence and death, and he got to use his cool-ass staff and kill some people, but he's now one of the last mages left alive, and so he gets to be the new Big Mama Jamma Archmage Supreme and rule over everything. Just who you want in charge. The psychopath.
I find it interesting. I wonder if Renthorn just like, wait, did it even say it that he like had a feeling or something? Because I'm like, why weren't you there? Because they said they were missing, but they're just strolling down the street. I'm like, did you just have a feeling that she was gonna light that place up? Like,
Yeah, I don't know, because they knew that the trial was going to go on, and to me, you want to see him, like, this man is a psychopath. He gets aroused by violence and death. You don't think he's going to want to see her death?
I just
The
found it
woman-
interesting. Like, oh, they're missing, and I'm like, they're just walking, hanging out.
He loves violence against women. You're going to tell me he doesn't want to be there to see it?
I'll see if I can find it. I want to say he kind of suspected something like that would happen.
It's right here. Hold on. God favors the merciless. What is wrong with you? Mordra's voice broke. You knew this was going to happen? Well, I guessed based on the sort of spells Franin was developing and the books she took from the library. I didn't think she'd actually pull it off with only a Quinn lackey to help her. You knew. Mordra's horror turned to rage. Renthorn, our fathers are in there. Our friends were. Renthor corrected. Our fathers and friends were in there. All the real competition. Anyone who might have kept us down.
Yeah, he knew. He made an educated guess based off of the books that she was reading and checked out from the library. So he had a feeling
idea.
something was going to happen and was hoping this was going to happen so he could be the Archmage.
So Mordra, on the other hand, obviously, he's horrified by the truth.
Why
He's
would he take
horrified by
Mordra
what's
with him?
happening
Bless his heart.
Because he needs a lackey.
because he wasn't competition.
Yeah, he's not competition. He's just a little lackey and he
Because
can
he's
do
an
all the
idiot.
work.
Because honestly, Mordra wasn't the best at anything.
It's his heart.
So Renthorn wants Sayana's spellograph, and Tomil plays dumb. He also wants to know how she calculated the coordinates so accurately without triggering an authorized magic alert. And I actually thought this part was pretty cool that Tomil in his head's like, well, you'll never know because I did it, and it was all in my head.
I love that. Yeah.
Tamil is the only like saving grace in this whole friggin' thing.
So Tomil tries to give him some kind of like worthless notes that Sayana had written that wouldn't have gotten him much of anywhere just to appease him. But Renthorn calls his bluff and says that he wants the spellograph, and he pulls out his staff and is basically implying he's going to torture him for an extended period of time and find joy in that torture to get him to tell him where the spellograph is. Tomil is prepared to suffer and kind of resounds himself to his fate, and even has this whole thing about like how he knows he's going to scream. There's no shame in it. He's just going to scream. It's going to be fine.
I thought that was funny. I mean, not funny. Like, sorry, not ha-ha funny. Like, it reminds me of like, have you ever given yourself a little pep talk before something bad? Like, it just kind of like...
I had a dog attack me at the shelter, and I was trying to give him a microchip. I had a bad vibe. We brought him back into the surgical hall to do it. It's so, because where he was at, we were in a room filled with general public, and I got a really bad feeling, and so I was like, I had me and one of my techs take him back to the surgical hall to do it, and she was restraining him, and the dog broke her hand getting away from her. She managed to hold him long enough that I could like run, but I remember running and jumping onto a surgical table, and just my brain was just going, it's okay. There's gonna be blood. It's gonna hurt. You're probably gonna have to go to the ER, but like, it's okay.
It's okay.
You're gonna be fine.
Needless to say, I made it out fine. my tech like saved my ass. She threw a surgical tray at him and he got distracted, and then we all locked ourselves in rooms until I had another staff member I called and brought a drink.
Reminds me of when I was giving birth. Because when you're because the thing with giving birth, right, is that like technically, like, yeah, it hurts and it sucks, but like doesn't last forever. Like I'm like, it's just one day. Anybody can do one day. Like I was literally I was like, tomorrow this will all be over. I'm not gonna be feeling like this anymore. It's gonna be fine. Like anybody can do this. Like I mean that was literally.
To be fair, that's how I get through a lot of my anxiety. Is like if I can just make it through like the next 5 minutes and not die, I'll be all right. Everything will be fine. And then it's like if I can make it through the next 5 minutes,
I'm like pushing a baby out, and I'm just like, well, he's gonna come out. Like he's going to. There's no other option. He's gonna come out. So this is gonna end. Realistically, the pain will stop. Like you just got to keep going. So it's hard in the moment sometimes to.
So poor Tomiel's he's just trying to make it through. He's like, I'm gonna die. It's gonna be fine. But then Kara yells out. I think she yells out, "Hey, Archmage Supreme!"
She did. I loved that. She's Tamiel and Kara. Let's put them both in there. They're the saving graces.
So she tosses that spellograph down on Renthorn's head.
I know. I very
Like-
much enjoyed that.
Like cracking his skull, and then he's like kind of still twitching and gurgling on the ground. She's just smashing his skull in with that spellograph till he quits
Well-deserved.
moving. And Tamiel's like kind of horrified by how violent she is. And then he's just like he realizes like he's like, oh, I kind of raised her. So, like
He's like proud.
so she looks to Mordra and says that they need to kill him because he's a witness, and she pulls a knife, and Mordra is like raising his staff to defend himself, but Tomiel tackles him first. But after Tomiel tackles him, he decides to let Mordra live as the new Archmage Supreme because someone's got to rule. So he's like, you seem the least worst left.
The least worst.
So he makes him promise to not forget what happened and to do something good with that position and power, and makes Mordra swear to that, which he does. I don't necessarily believe that. He doesn't seem like
never
an
know. So
Well,
I would like
here's
to
my
think-
thing. He doesn't come across as inherently bad, but the author has told us repeatedly that all Tyrannish men of power become bad. To me, Mordra, with time, will become corrupted with the power of his position. It's just going to be a full circle moment. We're going to come back around. And honestly, I think it's worse that he's not good at magic and he sort of sucks because he's going to have something to prove. So he's going to do dumb shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like having a manager that doesn't know what they're doing. You know how that works out. You know that's not a long-lasting job.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of hopes, but
Yeah.
that's just me.
Well, even if he is inherently good, there's going to be other people whispering in his ear, being like, well, we don't want to give up our tea. Heaven forbid I have to strike a match and light a fire.
And the Quen have killed all of these people now. And like,
Yeah.
like
They'll justify it.
to me, all it's done is created more strife between the people than was even originally there. So like,
But, we're supposed to have hope.
yeah.
Sorry.
So Tamiel and Kara go to escape the city with a plan to the western border of Turan, to the mountains of Venhold. They're attacked on their way by border guards, and Tomiel uses a cylinder to blow up the guards' hands. But there's more guards with more guns, and again, Tomiel's resigned himself to die, and he's like, I'll protect Kara. Kara, you run, I'll die. But then they end up being protected by other fleeing Quen who jump in to help save them. And as they run, the other guards they come across, their firearms just stop working. And no one knows what's happening, but Tomiel does. And he realizes that it's because the final spell, which he tells us, is that barrier expansion, which now we understand why she stole those barrier expansion spells out of the Archmage's Supreme's office, is she was using the siphoning that's happening inside the magic center, killing everybody, to expand, to use that energy for the barrier expansion. And so that's what was powering that. So it has run out of life. So he knows everyone in the magic center is now dead. And her reserve spell was to then go to firearms, the magic to pull from the magic that normally goes to power the firearms. So that's why the firearms have quit working. So as they break through the barrier, they break through because the barrier is expanding and they're kind of like running with it. And they break through the end of that barrier expansion, and then they're in the mountains and they hit the bitter cold, but there's no blight on the other side. So I had questions then about the barrier, because I'm like, is the barrier just like because the blight was being controlled by the siphoning. They had the coordinates. So is the barrier just like a temperature control?
I don't know what it does anymore, because the blight
Is it
is
just
no
like-
longer happening
Like,
because the barrier is expanding, but
is it just like internalized heating and AC and a dehumidifier? Like, I'm so confused on what the barrier actually was.
Especially
because
now.
everything immediately on the other side was cold.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew the temperature was part of it, but
I initially thought that the reason it was cold on the other side was because
The
of
magic.
the magic siphoning everything. So it was also, like causing
Oh,
everything to be
right.
cold. But I don't know. Maybe everything was just always cold. And so that initial like barrier dome thing was to make everything warm. I don't know. She never really explains it.
nope.
So they make for the caves in the mountains, and Tomil imagines Sayana lifting his glass up and cheering to hope, and he cheers as her back. And so you end on those final thoughts, which are supposed to be of hope. I know I personally did not feel any. Like, I was a little disappointed in the ending. But that was the end. So who wants to go first with their final thoughts and star rating?
Not me.
I actually wrote mine this week because I was like, I need to write out my thoughts because I have a lot of them.
Okay, you go
A
first.
lot, God. Okay, so I ended up giving it with a solid 4 because when I started, chapter 1 was like a 5. And honestly, the initial part of the story and the beginning half of this book was a solid 5 for me. I loved the world. I loved the magic system. I liked Tomil. And as much as I had issues with Sayana, I thought she was a really interesting character with room for a lot of character development and growth. And I thought there was a lot to play with there. And I felt like it was really smart and different. And I felt like the author had the opportunity to say something like pretty important and touch on a lot of subjects. But in the end, I ended up being really disappointed with the second half, mainly because I thought it had so much potential to be more impactful than it actually ended up being for me. And so I went with a 4 because I kind of got left like, who was she telling the story for? Because as an adult woman, I felt more irritated than empowered. And then throughout this, while the story itself is powerful, it also felt like it lacked any sense of nuance. It was just very black and white. And the reader was never allowed to dig deeper than any sort of surface level oppression that just was there to kind of feel like to create these emotional triggers in us as we were reading it. And so I kept asking myself, like, who's reading it and what are they getting out of it? And like 20 years ago, I might have read this and been like blown away. But at least where I'm at now in my life, I was just like, I felt like it could have had a lot more to it. I think my biggest issue was Brigham, because she had the opportunity to take a single character and make him not inherently bad or good, because you had a character who in a very sexist land was pushing for a woman to be in a position of power, having all this magic, doing all of these things. And I think it could have been really simple for not even change the story that much, but to make him where when she finally approaches him and is like, hey, look at all the bad thing that's happening with the siphoning, he could have still even known the truth, but he could have very easily just said, I know, but we have to make big changes with small steps. And my first small step is you being in power. We're going to start shifting things. You're a woman. That's a change. Next, we can start changing from the inside how we're doing things. But you can't just implode it, because this is the mess you're going to have. People will die. Entire systems will fail. We need to change it over time, because then as a reader, you're left at the end. You could have even finished. She could have written the rest of the book exactly how she did. But then at least at the end, you're left with, was Brigham right? Because now everything imploded. Was Brigham bad? Because even though he was a part of the system and he was playing along, but he was trying to change it the best way he knew how? Or was Sayana right? And you're left kind of grappling with that emotionally and morally. And where would you stand? And I felt like that would have added a lot more depth than just all men in power bad.
I feel like there was maybe an attempt with Brigham. It just didn't land. Because I felt a little confused by Brigham. But then, I don't know, I felt like he didn't really, it wasn't what you're talking about. It was more like, I felt like he had
and I don't know if
emotional whiplash. It wasn't.
If it was because we touched on so many subjects and tried to take on so many heavy subjects, or if it was just that she didn't want to dive too deep into some of these. But like, I also had issues with like Bringham's Factory, which was obviously an allegory for like, you know, textile production and things like that. But we're as the reader told that it's because Brigham is the bad guy. But like in reality, if you wanted to add depth to that, it's the consumer of those things that contribute to that. So like if you related that to like anything that's like cheap textile labor, so it's like fast fashion, it's also the people who purchase those things, which in this land would have also been the Quinn. Are they just as responsible for the things that are happening to their fellow Quinn because they're purchasing those products? And is it their fault because they're also stuck in poverty by the system, so that's all they can afford? Like those are the issues that had depth and a discussion of like, what are you willing to give up if you knew what would happen or who it's hurting and what, you know, and how that works. But like, she didn't really dive into that.
I think you should go next. So yeah.
Oh, are you done? I don't want to like.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
A lot of what you just said is why I struggled with this book, because I feel like this author tried to, and not, this is no shade, whatever. I understand the need to want to bring light to things or whatever, or try and touch on subjects or whatever. But like, I feel like the reason why this didn't land was because we touched on every subject I feel like known to freaking man. Because like every week you were saying something I didn't even think about. You were like, well, this is, you know, obviously this. And I'm like, there it is. It's another one. Like, it was just like constantly, it was just like this issue and this issue and this issue and this issue. Like it was, you know, and it just, it made it to where nothing really, like, it's giving like
you couldn't
jack
dive
of all
deep
trades and master of
Yeah.
none. Like it, nothing,
You couldn't-
nothing really felt like it was.
you couldn't really dive into any of them and create nuance with any of them because we were covering all of them.
All of that.
And while I get all of those exist in an actual society, and I applaud her for attempting to like cover all of those in a society, but I also, and like, I gave it a 4, but I just have criticisms. I don't feel like it's perfect.
I also, like, I've already said this, but I just didn't like the ending. I did not like the ending. And forget Sayana dying. Like, bye, girl. Like, I feel like we knew.
How do you feel about the character?
I feel like we knew that she had to go. She was I will say this, she is unlike many FMCs that I've read. She, like, I feel like a lot of times your heroine is, you know, you might get annoyed with her sometimes, but you know, they're usually selfless, right? They usually care too much, you know, whatever. And like, this is an FMC that really didn't give two craps about most anyone but herself. But she still ended up trying to do the right thing. And you don't see that, and that's fresh. And I did appreciate that. But like, I felt like the ending just fell so flat. I felt like Kara was this really cool character, but you actually didn't even get really as much from her. She ended up being one of my favorite characters, but you barely see her. Like, you do, but you don't. Like, if you think about it, like, you don't even get introduced to her until like you're like halfway through the
Honestly,
book.
like, I wouldn't have hated the book from Tomiel's point of view the whole way.
Right.
I
Like,
love Tomiel.
I
Tomiel
much
was
appreciated
perfect.
Tomiel's point of view. I felt like he had a good head on his shoulders. I feel like he saw things in a very well-rounded way. I felt like he brought perspective, and I feel like you really didn't even get enough of that. And I just felt like none of the characters were given enough opportunity to really be loved, like in a way that you really, really connect. Like, I don't know. I don't know. And like, even I had one little like teary-eyed moment at the end when the Quinn are running and like they're saying like, you know, forward, don't move back. It's something they all knew. And it was like this collective moment. Like, I thought that was really cool. But then it just like, then you're running and you're cold and Cheyenne is dead.
And I think
doesn't.
She ends it with this pretty speech that's supposed to be about the chance at hope, but like the chance at hope she kind of like gives you is like, well, maybe in like 100 generations we might be treated with some respect. And I'm like, that's not enough for me.
Like, if you guys make it, because they were talking about how like a lot of times that forget the blight, you die from the cold. So like it's still not looking good, you know, like they could still fall through ice or they could do, you know, and so it just, I don't know. I've been waffling back and forth between a 3.5 and a 4.
It's really
it's
a
not
3.
It's not
I
a bad
feel like
book.
it's a 3.
It's not a bad book. Like I said, I felt like it was well written. I felt like that, you know, I felt like it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. And I, like you said, I applaud the author for trying to like cover what you see in a natural society in a way that was from a fantasy perspective. Like, I think that's cool. You know, I feel like the magic system was different. Like, there was a lot of like good elements in it. It just, the story itself just, I felt like didn't end up cohesively like meshing. I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna land on a 3.5.
3.5. Getting it in. Is that what
Final
you're
answer.
telling you? I feel like your heart's more like it's a 3.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Maybe 3.25. So, my turn.
Yes, your turn.
All the things you guys just said, but I have from the very beginning been a 4.0 solid 4.0. That is a generous number. I'm gonna lie. And a couple of reasons why. One, as much as we've been kind of like going back and forth, we had really good conversations. What a 5-point-star conversation we have had, right? Especially
Yes.
when Mary and I were like arguing.
I was sitting over here like,
I will reach this computer.
I'm like,
So
I was sitting over here like, you're both pretty.
5 stars.
Wait, how did you feel about Elba's slap?
I just was kind of my flappers were gasted. It's just
Like, you were very against Sayana's slap, but Alba slapped Sayana.
over here like, what goes around comes around.
Well, I will tell you why I'm not 100. Like, here's the thing with Alba. Alba is human. Alba cares about people.
So
Alba
is Sayana.
No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. She doesn't care about
I
anyone.
think she's saying
She
she is human, not
She,
that she.
she's in a humanoid body, but her mind is very neurodivergent.
She's a
She has
robot.
a neurodivergent. She can't predict anybody or anything that happened with any of this situation. Even when people looked her in the face and said, "This is going to be bad," girl, she's just not. She's just got a computerized brain. So when she actually showed emotion, I was like, not at that stage. Not at that stage. No. But, you know, you kind of see this breakdown of not just her character, but Tamil's character, Alba's character. So by that point, I'm just like, well, at least Alba, I knew, cared.
Alba is more of an emotional
She's
being.
an emotional being, yeah.
It fits her character, I guess, in a way that it didn't before.
But 5-star conversation,
For
which
sure.
is what this book, I think the author was trying to do, is to get people to talk about it, talk about the issues. I applaud
I
it
didn't
for...
even think about that textile thing until you just brought it up a minute ago. and you know what? I'm not trying to be ornery, but I'm over here like you said that, and I'm like, man, that pisses me off because that's just another argument. No, I mean not an argument with you. I mean it's just another like that's not what I meant. Like it's like another thing. Like it's another thing. Like because it's like I don't know. I'm over here like dang.
Well,
I
and
agree.
and if you think about it, think about who works in those types of things. It's usually women, and they're usually paid no wages
It was
in unsafe environments. I mean, it's like exactly what it is.
there's so many
Children are working.
so many points that weren't
There's
made.
no labor laws.
You know what I mean? A lot of points that weren't completely made. Like it was there, but it
Well,
wasn't
she's
driven home.
again, my issue was like, as the reader, she just like streamlined you into you can only think one way. Like, here's these textiles, but Brigham's the bad guy. And it's like, but there's more. But like, you're just getting, it'd be like, I don't know. It's like, I don't
Timu.
know.
So, you know, circling
Tyrannish
back, great conversation, great topics that need to be brought up, but at the same time, and you know, there were things I wish she could have expanded on. I mean, this is kind of thin. If you're going to write like an alchemized-sized novel, or you're going to touch on these topics, it needs to be an alchemized-sized novel, so you can address all the things that
I'm so
Mary was
glad it
talking
wasn't
about.
the size of Alchemized.
But I mean, but you probably would have loved it if that were the case. Like,
don't know.
because you would get
I
more
think-
character development, you would get more history and background, you would kind of have a better
Yeah.
understanding. You know, kind of slow down. Maybe we could
Well,
have a
and I
love
think-
interest in the plot. Like,
I think what it kind of reminds me of is like the people online who will take up a cause that's a good cause, right? It'll be like Amazon's trying to put bookstores out of business. We should boycott Amazon. But then they take it too far because then they forget that there's nuance. And they go, anybody who buys from Amazon is also evil. And it's like, that's not the case because there are people who don't have access to independent bookstores. There are people who, you know, are disabled and can't leave their house, and Amazon is actually a life-saving thing for them. Like,
People that are
you
poor.
can't
You know what I mean? Or like don't, or even beyond,
current-
like, don't have the
like
money
current-
to buy full price for a book. Or,
Right. And currently there's, and then they're like, those people will be like, well, you could just go to the library. And it's like, well, some people live in rural areas and their library
I'm over here
is
like, darn, at least they're not stealing the PDF for free offline. At least they're contributing
right.
some money.
At least, yeah, you're not taking
Also,
away
even
from
when
others.
even when I owned a bookstore and touted, choose indie over Amazon, when someone would come in and would tell me that they shopped on Amazon, I never begrudged them that, because the thing is that the idea is that we want you to read, right? And if that is the only way, and people would tell me, I'm so sorry, I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to, and this was able to get it for free. And I'm like, I get that. You can't, like, half the time I couldn't afford to buy it. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that ended up being like that's especially in the second half of this book, because she never dove into any of that any further. Like, that's what this book to me was like, I have a good point, but then I just decided to charge it home, and I forgot that there was all these other things that play, within there, and there's different depths of that to discuss, and you can't just be like this. It's not always black and white.
This. But, and I mean this in the nicest way. Mary, you kind of touched on this, who is this for? Who is this book for? After reading, after living and experiencing life, I feel like this was just, gosh, at this point, preachy. Because it's like, you know what we had? We had a lot of problems, no real solutions.
The only
Never
solution
was.
was
Real
the only solution was to blow it up. And I was like, is that really in real life our only solution? Our only
even
solution
blowing it
is
up
like,
didn't solve anything.
right. In fact, a lot of ways it made it worse.
Yeah. So, and that's what I had. So that's why I never got higher than a 4. I had issues. I had criticisms. I didn't really, there were times I was kind of oscillating between 3.5 and a 4, sometimes a 3 and a 4. But then I realized, these emotions are good. I like having, even if I'm angry at it, I'm like, okay, it's at least affecting me, versus just a meh. Like, well, I didn't hate it, I didn't love it. It's just smack dab in the middle for 3. Because 3's not bad. It's not bad. It's just, it doesn't make you have feelings, Yeah, it just, at this stage of my life, I'm just like, I've heard it all. I've experienced it. I just, I'm like, you got any solutions for us? No. I'm like, all right. Maybe have this and also, is this a YA or is it adult?
I think it's adult. Yeah.
It's an adult?
Yeah.
Well, okay. I feel like this would be more better suited for younger people still trying to figure themselves out.
Maybe, you could put it in new adult, but just some of the language alone probably wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, but I agree with you. I don't not necessarily that it's YA, but like that, like someone in high school or college, like
where
a
you're
young,
like,
and that's where I was saying, like,
thinking
20
about
years
these
ago,
things.
20 years ago, this might have landed and really made me think.
So it's just, it's good things to think about. But again, what's the solution? Like, we have identified the problem, right? This is a problem. What are even some small changes that we can do?
I hope you're not asking me, because I'm not smart enough to answer those questions.
I'm
I'm just out here doing the best I can.
I'm just waiting for that book to come out,
Yeah.
And it's not just this, even touching on religion.
Well, and I really think, like, that was where when I finished this book, I think that's where I was like, I think I would have been happier with Brigham's character bringing in that second point of view of like, I'm still trying to do good, but I'm also like just not doing enough maybe. But in his mind, like, I'm trying to make small steps to do the right thing. Because I think that's the average person. Like, the average person is going to take small steps to try to do the right thing. And so like
you said, you would be working on the inside to make that change. But you know what? All that into play, I enjoyed the conversations. I enjoyed the in-depth, thinking. But again,
I thought her world was super cool.
I'm not going to recommend this to anyone unless I know that they're in the headspace to receive that. They're interested in that, or they find interest in that. But that's why I'm at a 4. But yeah, I love the passion. The passion.
More passion. More work. But you know what we get to do next week? So we're going to be reading chapters 1 through 15. I'm going to have the episode guide up soon.
Through 15.
Through 15. So stop at 16. When you see the number 16, Elizabeth will be stopping.
I'll be stopping. So, all right, let's do this. Fury Mail. Look, I'm gonna show you.
I don't think it matters.
I'm gonna print it.
before.
I'm gonna print.
I put
I'm gonna-
chapters 13 to 20.
I'm gonna print out the episode guide and then like mail it to you.
1 through 15. Stop 16. Boom.
She did it.
It's in there.
She did it.
I don't know. Fury Mail's gonna be hard to stop.
That's true.
I think
I'm gonna be
Charlie.
like, just one more chapter. I won't tell anybody.
I think Charlie messaged.
is any indication for me, I'm gonna struggle.
Yeah, I think Charlie messaged me and put bets on Catherine finishing it before the first episode.
He texted me saying that he would bet
That's
me $5,
fair.
and I was like, I'm not taking that bet because I don't know.
So
Shout out
I'm
to
excited because after this, which was a lot heavier, obviously, I feel like we need something that's just fun and a good time.
Girls
We know
kicking ass,
Yeah.
taking names.
And I mean, the fun part
love
is that
interest.
this is still probably going to cover some heavier topics, but just also in a fun way.
Yeah, in a fun way.
Where you're rooting for some people. I didn't have many people to root for in here other than my little Tomil, and we just knew his ending wasn't going to be great.
Honestly, I was rooting for the janitor.
I hope he made it out. I hope he heeded her advice. It was like, I'm dipping.
I don't know. They kept rounding up the remaining Quen, and they were going to assassinate them all or jail them all or something. And that was the thing is like, it didn't, like, I understand what she was
did
trying to
was
do.
extreme. Like, just
I understand what she was
extreme.
trying to do. I do get that. I do trying to like stop the system that was in place and recognizing how awful it was, but also like the existing Quen within the city just that became a whole shit show for them.
My
Like, it was bad.
little 18-year-old heart would have like just devoured this and would have been like, yeah.
Oh yeah, even through like probably my mid to maybe even late 20s, I probably
Yeah.
would have been like,
Same.
yeah, this is amazing. But like now, as a much more mature adult who has a lot of life experience, I'm just like,
I don't know, fam. I'm 32, and I gave it a 3.5.
She's like, I got kids. I don't have time for this.
My late 20s won't even that
She's
long
like,
ago.
where is the love interest?
she's
not even
like,
that.
I
It's not even
am
that.
ready.
Like,
she's
there was
like,
no
I
love.
need some tea. I will murder whoever I need to.
Like it's not even that. It's not even about the lack of love interest. Like that's not even like I've read plenty of books that touch on heavy subjects.
Yeah, like Sayona. Oh gosh, you don't like her at all, do you?
I didn't care for her as a person. Me and her would not have been besties. So
Would you have slapped her?
Yeah,
no, I wouldn't have slapped her. But like I would have maybe
She
like
might would have slapped you.
I would not have gotten along with Sayana, I don't think, at all.
I feel like for me, being able to connect with a character, I feel like is important. And if you're just genuinely like a crappy person, no matter really what, you know, because don't get me wrong, it's not like she was she had good intentions ish, but like it doesn't really make you. It's kind of like their whole scenario and the religion that they were going
It's
on.
kind of it was Pat Conroy wrote The Great Santini, and I remember reading it and going, it's a masterpiece, and I also hate it because I hated every character in it. Nobody was good. Like
I have
even
to at least like somebody, and like I said, I liked Tamil, but I feel like I didn't even really get enough of Tamil for it to make the whole thing better. I don't know, like I mean, because the
like,
times where you got his POV were slim, and you know he was mentioned a lot, but as far as his actual involvement, like I don't know, I don't know, it was just a lot of Sayana being about Sayana, like, and I'm like.
Conversation 5. Catherine's like, book 2.
Conversation 5. Well, I guess it was average.
Yeah, it's the average. There
Conversation
you
5, topics covered. Not bad. It's just you got it like nothing landed. Like
Average.
landed.
3.5.
3.5.
3.5.
or if she would have changed Bringham's character, it could have been a 5.
Mine might have been a 4.25, if that. Because I still don't think I would have recommended it. I know I'm not going to reread it, so.
I still think I would have been disappointed in the end, though.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But
But it might have been
at
like
least
4.25.
at least I would have understood the end where you were like then left contemplating what was the right answer.
The lack of any sort of closure I struggled with more than anything. I was actually at a 4 until that. And then I was like, oh, screw you. Like, not her, the book. Like, because I'm like, you got me through all this, and we still don't know what's going on with the Quinn. They still might die. I don't like.
Well,
I,
to be fair, if Kara or Tomil had died at the end, it would have been like a 2 for me. I would have been so mad.
Like, what's
would've
the
been
point?
pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been so mad.
Oh yeah, that rating would have dropped. So.
Anyway, 1 through 15. Fury Bound for next week. Back with
Excited.
Stark. Right? That's the right book.
Stark Therion, yes.
Series, isn't it? We have too many series.
I am so excited to pick this book up and finally. It has been on my Kindle since it came out.
I've had
got
it
the
sitting
book.
on my shelf. Now,
purchased
to
the
be
book.
fair, I have a bunch I need to finish because like I still have Rights of the Starling that I'm almost done with. I'm getting really close. I can see the finish line. And then I have Daggermouth, which I'm only at like 30%, I think, or something. Like,
I'm at like
Because I-
60-some%.
my problem is I was finishing Blood Over Brighthaven, and then I've been really kind of heavily reading Rights of the Starling because I was wanting to finish it, and then just alternating with Daggermouth. I usually read Daggermouth's on the Kindle, so like I read it usually like late at night when I don't want to bug Chuck by keeping the lights on, so I can just have
Well,
my Kindle.
I was telling Catherine, I just don't have time to read. I should have been done with both of that and Operation Belt's House. I have not had the time.
I've been blowing through the off-campus series because of the Prime.
She's
show.
probably gonna have more
Have
books.
you been have you watched the Prime series
Oh,
yet?
I'm done with it. I finished it.
Are
Baby.
you? I'm only on episode. I think I just
Did you?
Oh, I
did
think
you read the
I think
off-campus series?
I did not read the off-campus series.
Okay,
and
let
I-
me tell you something. I'm reading the off-campus
She's
series.
like 5 stars.
No, that's not what I was gonna say. It's fine. The series is fine. It's a contemporary romance series, much like the others. It's a fine series. It's a good series.
college hockey romance, whatever.
Yeah, like I mean, it is what it is. You know, it's good, but it's it's a good time. But it's not like Anyway, it's enlightening or anything. It's just it's good.
4.5.
Anyway, not a 4.5. But the show is so different. I would literally, this is my remote. I would pause it whenever, and I would be because James is watching it with me, right? And I kept saying, we get to watch our show. And he's like, is it our show? Like, or am I just sitting here with you while you watch it? And I'm like, shut up. And so I would pause it and be like, let me just tell you how this happened in the book. Very different. They took a lot of, they changed it a lot. There were some things.
I did not expect it to be quite as spicy right off the bat.
Very
As it-
spicy. That
because
whole
I-
scene in the beginning where she walks in on him in the shower, that did not happen in the book. It did
I
not.
turned it on and I watched the first episode and Chuck was there with me, and he just and then I didn't get to finish it that night because I think it was running late and we were getting ready for bed or whatever. So I had to finish it the other night, and I was finishing it while Chuck was in the shower because this is very much not Chuck's kind of show, right? So
Did you
I was-
walk in on him? Like, did you recreate the scene?
No, but he got out. He came out of the shower and he saw I was finishing that episode, and he was like, I see your hockey porn's back on. He's like, because you're such a big hockey fan, and I was like, well, I did watch the Blackhawks when I was a child.
I did not dislike the show. I actually felt like I liked the show in different ways than I liked the books, because there were some things in the show that did not happen at all in the books that were like big plot points in the show. And I was like, I found myself, because there's a cliffhanger at the end of the season. I'm not gonna say what it is, but I was like, I literally was sitting on the couch. I stood up. It was like, James walked in because he had walked Misty. We were getting ready to go to bed, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Because it did not happen in the book at all. Not at all. Not even an inkling of that event happened.
Well, so what happened for me? I actually was gonna try. I hadn't started the series yet because I was like, I'm gonna read the books first, and I ran out and I went to the store and I bought me with the first book in what I thought was this series, because I don't know. I didn't even look it up. In my mind, I was like, hey, I'm gonna read this book. And then I bought Binding 13 because I thought that was the first book of this series. And then I was like, I got back and I was like, wait, different book, different series. And so I was like,
still by L. Kennedy?
no.
No.
It's like,
No.
that's by Chloe Walsh.
Yeah.
But then I found out that that's called The Boys of Tommen or something.
Yeah.
Tommen.
Tommen.
It got picked up. It's being a series too. So now I'm like, oh, I'll be the head of the game for one of them at least.
I have finished.
So that takes place in Scotland. I did the audiobook for both of those.
Which makes sense because it's rugby, not hockey. Which is
Yes.
how I figured it out. Is I was like, wait a minute.
But you know the crazy
That was
thing
rugby.
is, that's YA. And I was like, is this not YA? Because that was more than this.
I have finished 3 of the 4. Oh shoot, my battery's starting to die. We might have to wrap it up here in a second. I finished 3 of the 4. I read Garrett's, I read Logan's, I read Dean's, and I'm getting ready to start Tucker's, and it's a pregnancy trope in Tucker's, and so I don't know. And it says so on the thing, so I don't want to.
All I know,
any spoilers.
I'm 1 episode in, and I'm ready for Dean and Allie.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what, that one I found it interesting because Logan's story is actually the second one. Dean and Allie is the third book, but they're going in on.
Should
Dean
I
and
watch
Allie.
the show or should I just read books?
Do both. I did both. They're
I
they're
haven't-
very quick. I've read each book in like
Well,
a
I've
day.
got to read Powerless by Elsa. I've got so much to read.
They are
and I
not
just have
hard
no time.
reads. They're kind of just fluffy little whatevers, but they're a good time. Like they're not bad. They're vibey. But
And what's the name of the book?
I might pick.
it's the off-campus series. So you have the deal, the
That's the
mistake,
first,
the
the deal.
score, and then the goal.
I might pick them up
deal.
after I finish Daggermouth because I'll probably just read them on my Kindle.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to finish Daggermouth, but I've
They're
got some
fun.
other books on my Kindle I got to read.
Okay, we gotta wrap it up
I
before,
made.
before this thing
Okay.
comes. Oh, I'm sorry. You made what? Go ahead. You did.
Oh, I was saying I made a mistake because I applied for way too many arcs, and then I didn't hear back, so I just kept applying for arcs, and then all of a sudden I got approved for all of them.
That's funny.
So we'll do our sign.
Or sign up. Bye.
So we'll see everybody next week. She's like, I'm just gonna be like, bye.
Well, her
well, she said our
battery
sign-
is going to actually die.
Well,
like,
she said sign off thing, and I was like, do we have a sign off thing? And I was like, I know that I always say bye.
Well, we will see everybody next week for Fury Bound, and we'll see you then. Bye.
bye.